Welcome to the Limitless Potential podcast, where together we will dive into the personal, business, and career-rich tips, techniques, stories, and experiences of some incredibly successful and inspirational people, each with their own perspectives and journeys, and each with golden nuggets of wisdom which might just change your life. I'm Tracy Stone, and I'm a master trainer in a number of career supercharging techniques, a transformational coach, international best-selling author, inspirational speaker, and a woman discovering and evolving my very own limitless potential day by day.
I went to yoga and one thing you're going to stand up at your stage.
Celebrate yourself.
Spiritual things from very second I met her.
And so once a week, each of you take.
Now I look at this. I see this happening many times again. Again, I see it in a positive way.
Hi, and welcome back for another episode of Limitless Potential. Today, I'm so happy to welcome the very lovely Tanya Hadzhieva, who joins us from London. Tanya, also known as Leo Crystal Queen, is an award-winning author, a healer, and a spiritual leadership public speaker. Her first mission is to help stressed women in business. With her healing energy, both by distance and in person, Tanya can help achieve balance in the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical body. How amazing is that? She spent 5 years in sales and business development, and she herself had experienced burnout, which is why she's dedicated to helping women to live stress-free. Her advice has been featured in many magazines as well as on Radio FM, and she's the creator of Queen's Joy magazine and the Wake Up Call Show podcast, which inspires people globally. Tanya's second mission is to raise awareness about the law of one, where love, light, vibration is a basic human right. And we're going to learn more about that. And she's here with us today to talk about her journey and how she taps into her own limitless potential. Welcome, Tanya. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Tracy. It is a pleasure to be here, to be a guest.
Well, I'm so intrigued to hear more about the work that you do, the things that you believe in, that you center all of your beliefs on. But let's start briefly back at the beginning, Tanya, as I always have to do with my clients, as well as with my wonderful guests on my podcast. So tell me a little bit, if you would, about little Tanya, the little girl growing up. What was life like for you? And just bring us on that journey into today.
Of course, that is, I would love to share my story. As a child, I was very curious, to say the least. I was constantly studying to a point where my parents were thinking, oh my God, she's just staying at home way too much, because I wanted to be a doctor. I studied biology and chemistry all day long, and even I was teaching even my classmates to 3 a.m. Just to kind of make sure that they pass their test. I was so inquisitive as a child. I loved all kinds of subjects, mathematics. I was even winning competitions of poetry in very young age. I wanted to do dancing as well, but my parents said, oh, you cannot make money with dancing, so stick with being a doctor. But I was very passionate about arts. I was very passionate about writing, poems back then, and also articles, as well as dancing, as well as arts and painting, because my aunt is actually a professional painter and she has her own school. But again, my parents wanted to stick with the safety and security, which was being a doctor, until one day of my life, 2009, when my grandmother died. I said, you know what, I changed my mind. I'm not going to be a doctor. I realized doctors are not really 100% helping people. As we all know, they see them more as a client rather than actually wanting to heal and help them. And I believe that the loss of my grandmother was a turning point. You know, every person has these emotional catalysts of where you were excelling in your being inside, and it was like a spark at the same time as I felt my foundation of life, because she was like my grandmother, my mom, my best friend, my counselor. Like if I had a broken heart or something, I would go to her. She was like the elder that had all the love that I would just go for and ask for an advice. I really appreciate my grandmother's advice, and I'm sure many people appreciate their nan's advice and people who have more knowledge. So when she was gone, I said to myself, okay, so what's this leading me? Of course, the first 2 years was the denial stage, where you cannot accept that the person is gone. I was not even 18. She died before even my graduation. So for me, it was a bit shocking to deal with, teenage years, trying to get into college, as well as trying to get my way into where my life is without her. So I think the first wake up call that I had was needing to adjust my beliefs, needing to adjust my spiritual values. I was really raised and born Christian. I was going with her to the church every Sunday. And then I completely moved into the spiritual world. And this was kind of my quest. It literally was like the book, The Soup for the Soul. I was searching for every book out there that was spiritual. I started with astrology, numerology, Chinese I Ching, then went to crystals, then I went to healing, which was the reconnective healing that I learned. Then I went to feng shui. Like I've literally read all these types of alternative healing. And I realized something at the end of the journey. From where I started, I wanted to find her in a different realm, because obviously I couldn't connect with her in the physical. So I was making myself as a task to be able to reach her in the other realm. So I would do anything spiritual to get closer. But with that journey, what I didn't realize was that I was actually trying to get closer to myself, not to her. Until one day I had a session actually here in London with a lady that helped me to release that completely, and to be able to move forward with understanding what has happened, release the past, learn from the past, and actually understand that the spiritual journey that I'm on is actually my personal one that I have to develop and start sharing my gifts. So her transformation helped me transform to be able to give what I'm giving today to the world.
Wow, that's quite an intricate journey, isn't it? Into realizing,
Yes.
rightly as you say, that it's not so much about what you thought it was. It wasn't
Yeah.
as much about finding and connecting with her, but more about connecting with you and understanding you and what you wanted, what
Mhm.
your gifts were, what you bring into the world, and what you move forward into doing.
Exactly.
So what did
Yes.
you do from there? So how did you then distill all that you learned on that journey into finding your direction?
Well, the journey always begins and it's still ongoing, but the second and most profound wake-up call that I had was the next chapter of my life was 2018, when I first started with a PR company that I first went actually to them so they can do PR for my healing services. And then I ended up with a job because I said, okay, I'm going to embark on this journey. I was working 2 jobs at the same time. We know in London sometimes it's hard, but it was actually a journey that was meant for me, because if it wasn't for that journey, I would have not gone to Amsterdam and I would have not met my twin flame, who is actually mentioned in my book behind me, Ruby Rose and the Crystal Palace. So again, I understood doing so many ayahuascas, going deep within myself, that everything happens for a reason in life, and every event that happens in my life actually is supposed to happen. And I realized the next chapter was actually understanding why I'm here. And you mentioned the law of one. It is actually part of my spiritual growth, and why I'm going to mention in a little bit. For all the viewers who don't know what a twin flame is, first I'm going to address that. So twin flame is a very, very profound experience, very rare. Not a lot of people actually experience that during our lifetime. There's a difference between twin flame and a soul mate. So twin flame is usually someone that is part of your soul. So the soul wants to experience itself in 2 different bodies. So when it comes to Earth, it separates itself in 2 different bodies, male and female. Sometimes it can be two females. It doesn't matter. And through these experiences, they come in to incarnate on this planet to actually help the whole lineage of their lineage to clear. So we are the catalyst for clearing up all the shadow work from the whole lineage. So for example, if there was a lot of hurt or fear of rejection, fear of failure, all these fears are going to be put on to the twin flames to actually deal with in order to clear all the karma and all the lineage. So it's actually quite, it's an honoring thing to be, but it's also very hard because you go through phases of mirroring each other with your twin flame, where you bring all that culmination and everything that you've experienced during your childhood, all the programs, all the traumas are actually being mirrored in all order to be resolved. So this can actually transform. And once it's transformed, it's very very soothing, and or actually it's very healing. But why I mean the law of one is because twin flames are actually example of the law of one, which is a universal law, just like the law of attraction, the law of cause and effect. So the law of one states that everything is part of the one. So it doesn't matter. We obviously have our blueprint. We're all different, but we all originate from source. So eventually we're all going to go back to source. So what twin flames are representing is that strong bond between each other, that telepathic communication, that feeling of the other when it's hurt, when they're happy, even without seeing each other. So they represent that part of being one, even though you're in two different separate bodies, because it is hard to explain to someone as a concept what it is, because it's a feeling. So I think more and more people understand that we are actually part of this whole thing. We're all interconnected. Now quantum physics is trying to actually explain that in a very, very scientific way so people can grasp the concept. So yeah, this was the second part of my wake-up call as a person and growing.
Wow. And I think the term twin flame has become quite popularized in recent years.
Yes.
We'll see a lot of it in the media with certain actors and singers, and that's kind of brought it to people's attention. But I think for many people, the understanding of what a twin flame is a little bit different to that reality that we talked about. They tend to think it's just an intense burning love. They feel it's the soulmate aspect, that people are very drawn to each other. So it is a bit different to that. But how do you know? How does anybody actually get to understand that it's a twin flame thing? It's a different thing. It's a different level. How do you know that it's that and it's not just a deep connection?
It's a very good question. I actually was asking myself that so many times, because I have tried to get over that connection for years, and I was like, what it is about this person that's different, from other connections, because I have also had another connection that was very deep before. It is to me, it's like the knowingness and the resemblance that that person, that you know them from a different life. And sometimes, of course, twin flame can be reincarnated, and it feels like a karmic relationship as well, that it's very intense, very, very, very like passionate. Sometimes it can be just a karmic, sometimes it's not really a real twin flame. So again, it depends from situation to situation, but I have asked this question during my ayahuasca journey, because at one point I was really thinking I'm going crazy, and I'm not even over exaggerating on this. I was like, why this person is like so the feelings are so intense, because when you are in the journey, no one prepares you for it. No one. Like it's a random meeting, and then the circumstances are right, exact, and then you meet, and then boom. So I didn't really feel prepared for it. So it's about knowingness and understanding if the person that you think you're connecting with is, for example, I'll give you an analogy. With most connections, when you are with someone and then the relationship starts to like go down with the years, usually gradually starts to go down. Even in the love aspect, things start to slow down, and then you just become either a co-friends that live under one roof. With the twin flame, what I have noticed is the opposite. it gets better and better, and every time you think it's not gonna get better, it actually gets better, and then you're even surprised from yourself, and I'm like, how can that even get better when everyone else is getting, like getting less from their relationship? So the feelings are different.
And is a twin flame, in your experience, is it also always a romantic thing, or can it be a twin flame across people that are just deeply connected as friends? What way does that work?
Oh, well, from my personal point of view, and I can only speak about myself and my experience, of course, we have tried to be just friends so many times, it never worked. The magnetic pull, it's so big that it just never works. For some reason, I don't know, maybe for some other people works, and I know that there's infinity possibilities, so I'm not gonna say that no, friends cannot be twin flames and it doesn't exist, because there are multiple actually twin flames. There are twin flames of which one of the twins is not actually incarnated in the physical, so they're mostly like the spirit guides, or they're like very much connected on different worlds with them, but they still have the flame on the other side. So there are multiple, of course, situations.
Wow. So how take us back from that then, from the twin flame into the law of one. So bring us back again to that and explain
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more about the law of one and what do you do in your work? Take us into how you apply it and help others.
Mm-hmm. Well, the way I apply it is that the easiest way I can explain it is like when I do a webinar and I speak about the ascension, the wake up call to the 5D ascension. The way I explain the law of one is when you start to understand that when you look at another person in their eyes, when you look into another person, you're looking at yourself, is the closest that you have ever gotten to understanding the law of one. Because if you look into a mirror and you say, constantly repeating to yourself, I love myself, you do all these affirmations, but when you look at another and you understand that the other person is part of you, is that when the whole human as a society is going to change, because then they will understand that we are all interconnected, and if you hurt one person, then it hurts someone else. So what I'm saying is, imagine here it's planet Earth, and then we have all the rest of the planets. So the rest of the planets, let's say they're in higher dimensions, they're higher than 4 dimension, and we're the only ones in 4 dimension at the moment. Everyone else around us can feel our pain and suffering on the 4 dimension, because they're also part of the one and we're also part of the one. So they cannot really ascend to so much of a higher dimension unless we ascend as well, because all of us create that one. So if one part of your body is hurting, then the other part of the body feels it, even though it may not be the part where it hurts, but it's part of the whole.
Mm-hmm.
That small part is part of the whole body. Your toe, and it's part of the whole body, it's not separate.
Exactly.
But we perceive that we are separate because we incarnate in this experience for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're learning the lessons to move forward.
Love that. So that's it's a very different approach to what a lot of people are used to thinking about or talking about, but we can't ever assume that what we know, understand, can measure, can count, can look at and touch here is all that there is in the universe.
Of course. Yeah.
Love it. So tell us a little bit as well, Tanya, if you would please, about the journey to writing your book. If we can come on to that. Ruby Rose. Tell us all about
Ruby Rose.
and the Crystal Palace.
Ruby Rose and the Crystal Palace is a romantic fantasy of a very, very strong character that travels from 2 different countries. We talk about 2 different big cities like London, Amsterdam, constantly, because she falls in love with someone that is not with her religion. So we see again a conflict between 2 religions in the 21st century, which shouldn't in reality still be happening, in my opinion. But we see the contrast between traveling to countries, having to fight between two religions to be with someone that you love. And on the other side, she finds out she has superpowers. She comes from a different plane of existence, and she's here with a mission to help humanity. So the way I'm portraying the main character is for all the people, I mean, young adults, specifically women, who are in a position that they haven't been inspired, or they're in a situation where they don't see the light in the tunnel, and they have given up, or maybe they're in a position where they love someone from a different religion. I talk about this problem a lot in the book because I believe love should be uniting us, and also, again, the law of one, it should be uniting us instead of separating us. And the book basically is about the main character exhibiting courage, as opposed to fear, which is being spread everywhere. And even though she is actually in a world full of fear, and on top of that, I wrote it during the pandemic, so I actually put the pandemic also in the book to put the cherry on top of all the other drama that's going on.
Fantastic. Well, it's a beautiful book, inside and out. It's a beautiful book. It's a lovely read. What kind of feedback are you getting from people? It must be amazing, because I know a lot of people are connecting into the story that you share, as it connects into their life.
Exactly. Well, it is inspired from my life, so people do connect with it. Of course, the recent feedback that I got was amazing. People are really, really admiring Ruby's boldness. That was the last comment I got, is that she's very bold, and she just jumps off a cliff and growing her wings, while falling down, which not a lot of people obviously do, because we do hide behind the fear of what if, and this is not what the character actually exhibits. She's very bold with her decisions, obviously having the courage to make the change. So yes, I'm glad that people are really resonating, especially women that read the book, resonating with the main character. Obviously, the main character of Rashid is also very important, because he's playing the other part of the story of why certain things didn't happen the way they happened. So it is important to realize there's always like two sides of the story, and in one side is me telling the story, and in the other side is the other perspective of the male, what is the male character going through. Because in the book, the main character just got out of religion, but he's in very deep depression. So when you meet someone that loves you so much, and you just got out of depression, it's kind of like, wow, the whole world is like spinning. And a lot of people became very depressed during the pandemic, so they can probably resonate more with the male character. So we have, on one side, we have someone that's very persuasive, very assertive, very courageous, which is Ruby. And then on the other side, we have someone that's doubtful, depressed, always exhibiting shy kind of behavior, where it's not like sure where things are going. So there is a clash between the two characters, of course, but obviously that's where all the truth and the drama is being born. I guess.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations.
Yes.
Your book is beautiful. And Tanya, then tell us a little bit, if you will, in our last few minutes, of the work that you do, how you help people.
At the moment, I help through the podcast, which is being right now available in 22 countries. I also do coaching as well as webinars, where I talk about the ascension. I talk about how we can manage these navigate the waters that are coming at the moment, but as well as working on many projects to change and shift things of the way societies and things are going, which is very important.
And how do people find you, Tanya, if they want to know more about how they can work with you? What can they do to find out?
I am very findable on all social media. It is the same name, Leo Crystal Queen. TikTok is mainly for crystals. Because of my passion for crystals, I explain how people can use crystals for their own benefit. On TikTok, Instagram is more about the book, and then obviously I have Facebook group as well, Leo Crystal Queen, or they can visit my website, which is again leocrystalqueen.com, and they can send me a message there. I'm going to be happy to respond if they have any questions.
Fantastic. And finally, my darling, if you could share with us, please, what is the biggest goal that you have yet ahead of you? What do you that you haven't yet achieved? Because you've done so much in a short time. What's coming next for Leo Crystal Queen Tanya?
Oh, what is coming next is what I would love to see is turning the book into a movie, so many people can enjoy it in the cinema, get inspired, and we see so many like movies, Marvel movies. This movie really, really, I feel also holds kind of the same vibration of being an inspiration to the young adults. So that's the next chapter.
And I have to therefore ask, so who would you love to play you, and who would you love to play the male lead in it?
To be fair, I was actually looking for people who I would love to. I mean, I would love the mother of Ruby, which is Celeste. She is interdimensional being to be played by J-Lo, of course. And I would like to play. I mean, I think the best person to play me would be the main character who plays in the Vampire Diaries. She's also Bulgarian, Nina.
Yeah,
She looks a little bit like me.
she
She's also
does.
half Bulgarian as well, so she speaks Bulgarian, and she's American actress. So I think if she plays, that would be great because she probably has knowledge about the culture as well, where the main character comes from. I am yet to research the male. I was researching it yesterday actually, and I really didn't find a face that would resemble the main character yet. But I'm yet to find because obviously whoever seeks they find, right? So
The
yes,
law of attraction.
exactly.
That is so interesting. I love the choice of Nina to play your role in it. I think you are spot on that. Well cast.
Spot on, right? And plus, she has already played in the Vampire Diaries, so she's all used to like magical stuff. And the book Ruby Rose and the Crystal Palace is very magical. You also do like spells there, you work with crystals, you find that you have superpowers. So it's like nature for her to probably play this
I think
to
you're
play the
right.
character.
And she's a
Yeah.
strong female lead.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely, yes, 100%. I've watched all her moves in the Vampire Diaries and in other movies, but she's great.
Good choice. Good choice. Well, Tanya, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today, and I'm quite sure that we will chat again with an update as you move
Mm-hmm.
forward into all of that. But thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And absolutely, I would say that you are full of limitless potential. So I'm glad you've joined us to share that today.
Thank you so much, Tracy. It was my pleasure to be your guest and share all my experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you to all of our visitors today, all of our subscribers for joining us for this wonderful episode and sharing the journey of Tanya, Leo Crystal Queen. And fingers crossed, we'll hear a lot more that's to come. So thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again soon for another episode and another wonderful guest on Limitless Potential.